Yesterday, we studied the need for meditation. Today, we will shift our focus and we will study the process of meditation. Often when I teach smaller groups of people, where it's more of a discussion, we play a game at the beginning of each discussion or each class. And what I have everyone do is close their eyes, and then I ask them about various facets of the room. Like how many fans are in this room? Or what is this person wearing? Or what is the color of the pen that I have? And various questions like that. And the idea behind that is, if I can observe my outside world, then that is a catalyst. It helps me to observe my inside world. If I know what's going on outside, if I'm aware of what's going on outside, the chances of me knowing what's going on in my mind is much higher. And I'm very happy that there's a lot of companies that are changing the dynamics of their board games now. There are a lot of great observation games available now, like Spot It. Has anyone played Spot It? All right, wow. What about Set? Right? Spot It is like Set, and they're excellent, excellent games. Even Taboo. It really makes one observe the world around it, then you have to express it. These are games that help us practice spirituality. Because the idea is that we direct those capabilities inside. By Spot It, by Set, by Taboo, and play these games. They're very conducive to what we're learning. And that's why when we do youth retreats, for hours we just play games. And it's great. It helps one to learn how to think, how to express themselves. This is called introspection. To be aware of one's mind, to look within, is called introspection. And this is a fundamental activity on this path. Like if one is not introspecting, then one doesn't know what to do, where to go. Introspection. And we do this, but we do it randomly. It'll happen a little bit here, it'll happen a little bit here. It's uncontrolled. When someone dies, we'll do it for a week. When we watch a good movie, we'll do it for an hour. When we see nature, we'll do it for 5 minutes. And then back to the lack of introspection. We have to make time for this. To look within. How will we know what to change? How will we know if we're happy or not if we're not looking within? Do our clothes tell us if we're happy or not? Do our eyebrows tell us if we're happy or not? We have to go inside to gauge if we are or are not. And slowly, we will start becoming aware of our weaknesses. Through introspection, we become aware of our weaknesses. And this is called detection. Introspection is looking within. Detection is finding out those weaknesses. Finding out where we can be better. This too requires time. It requires effort, consistency. Because if we just introspect lightly, we won't detect anything. Yeah, I'm perfect. I'm the man. Everybody loves me. But if we go deeper into that introspection, we'll realize, maybe I am prejudiced. Maybe I don't treat everyone equally. Maybe I speak harshly to other people. And Gurudev says very powerfully, only through revelation can reformation happen. Only through revelation, only realizing, hey, I'm like this, can reformation happen. Introspection, detection, and once we've highlighted those weaknesses, those negativities, if we truly focus on those, we will become ashamed of them. We'll be disgusted by the anger in our lives. We'll be disgusted by the jealousy that we may have for our friends, for our brother or sister. We'll be saddened by our lack of contentment in life. This is called negation. Introspection, detection, negation. And all of these are very solidly shown in a peaceful warrior. When you see Dan, he's looking within. While there's fights going on, while there's this, the turmoil outside, you see him sitting in the corner. You see him looking within. When he talks to Socrates, I realize that I'm not happy, that I think lowly of myself. And he's so disgusted by it. And that's why he goes to see the guru. That movie is perfect. Everything that we're learning is depicted in that movie. Unfortunately, most of us act out of desperation, like a lot of our parents who, when they find out they're diabetic, then they turn to exercise. Or when we gain a lot of weight, then we turn to exercise. Right? That's a very reactive behavior. Better is to be proactive. This negation really shouldn't happen. But we act in desperation, so fine. Let us focus on those weaknesses and grow beyond them. And I'm very happy that for those who know and those who don't know, Daniel, wherever Daniel is right now, I met Daniel in DC, and Daniel and I were chatting, and Daniel was creating a residence or a home in the next semester where he's going to bring people of different faiths to live together. So maybe some from Islam, maybe from the Judaic religion, who knows? And I was telling him about this retreat, and I said, you should come. And he said, sure, it sounds interesting, and so on and so forth. And then I found out he was coming. And he's here because he wants to learn more about Sanatana Dharma. He wants to learn more about our philosophy. He's being proactive so that when he does create that house, he'll be better equipped to do it. His other option is, don't learn anything, create the house, and maybe conflict would arise. See how much smarter it is to be proactive rather than reactive? So introspection, detection, negation, then we have substitution. Substitution is a fourth step. I highlight that I am an angry person. Now I need to substitute that anger by practicing a different quality. The mind can only do. The mind cannot not do. If you tell the mind, don't do this, it will do this. In Inception, when they're talking to Sato at the beginning of the movie, and Cobb's partner, I forgot his name, says, what if I tell you not to think of monkeys? And he asks Sato, what are you thinking of? And Sato says, monkeys. Elephants, sorry. Because that's the nature of the mind. It can only do. So if you tell the mind, don't be angry, the mind will just engage in that more. So give the mind something to do, which is why Gurudev says substitution. If we are angry people, substitute it with patience. Hey mind, start practicing patience. And that anger will slowly fade away. This is why it's important, mind and meditation. Once I know the nature of the mind, then I can properly meditate. And even Osho, Rajneesh, very controversially he says, don't practice detachment. Never practice detachment. He says practice attachment. Attach yourself to the divine. What do you have to let go of then? That which is not divine. Attach yourself to peace. You have to let go of war. Attach yourself to the Lord. You have to let go of demons. Practice attachment instead of detachment. Practice substitution, because that's the only way negation will happen. And so I encourage everyone. You'll have some alone time today. You'll have some alone time tomorrow as well. Do this. Go through the introspection, detection, negation, substitution. Find one weakness, if you have a weakness. which I'm willing to say that you do. Find that weakness and just go through that process. This is my weakness. What should I do? And then do it. Focus on it. Because this is true religion. Religion is self-mastery. Religion is addressing the mind. This is how it's done. So systematically laid out for us. This whole process of introspection, detection, negation, substitution mellows the mind down. And when the mind is mellowed, then we can meditate. The hyperactive mind, the uncontrolled mind, cannot meditate. Think. The uncontrolled mind can't even study for an exam, can't focus on the road, can't even enjoy a good movie. How is the uncontrolled mind going to engage in realizing Brahman? The highest vocation in life. It's not going to happen. This process is a form of emptying that which is undivine about ourselves. Emptying those flaws that we have. Filling ourselves up. Making ourselves strong. So that when we engage in meditation, we'll be able to actually do this. I cannot emphasize this point enough. When someone who's new to this path approaches me and says, please teach me meditation, my automatic response is, start doing seva. Prepare yourself for meditation. In seva, you calm yourself down, you direct yourself, you raise yourself, then you can meditate. How? How is it possible to just come off the street and say, okay, teach me meditation? And if they are meditating, they're either sleeping or they're just relaxing themselves, which is fine, but relaxation and meditation are not the same. Because then we can say, well, we meditate for 8 hours every day. That's sleep. That's not meditation. They're different. Meditation has become very commercial. We are not going to approach it in that way here. And the final step in this process, again, introspection, detection, negation, substitution. Step number 5 is enjoy. Be free. Live it up. Be that divinity. See, Vedanta is about solutions. It's not just about you suck. It's about you suck, get better, be happy. Free yourself from all of this. Reassert one's true nature. It's about solutions. And on page 67, again, you don't need to take your books out. There's a quote that Gurudev, we've read many times, but now it'll all fit together. And he writes, therefore, introspect daily, detect diligently, negate ruthlessly, substitute wisely, grow steadily, be happy and free. This is where this quote comes from. When we know what it means, that quote's that much more potent. Continuing with the analysis of the mind. The mind has 3 layers to it. The conscious, the subconscious, the unconscious. Again, it's just like inception. There's various layers of that dream. The unconscious is the problem. The subconscious is not the problem. The conscious is not the problem. The unconscious mind is what is distorting our nature. And what I mean by that is that's the cause for the mind. That's the seed for the mind. If you take pumpkin seeds and you put them in the soil, they will probably grow into a pumpkin. But if you take those same pumpkin seeds and roast them, salt them, and then put them in the soil, they won't grow. Because that's been destroyed. That property to grow has been destroyed. The problem of our mind is the seed of it, that unconscious mind. What has been continuing with us lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. The unconscious mind projects into the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind projects into the conscious mind. Who you are, who I am, is all sourced from the unconscious mind. Sometimes we like to call it vasanas, sometimes we like to call it ignorance, our history, our background, whatever. And what happens is that when the mind becomes quiet, the subconscious starts coming into the conscious. Where did the subconscious come from? The unconscious. Knowing that we can only operate in the conscious plane, we don't control our subconscious. Just like Cobb said, we definitely don't control our unconscious. So if the problem is the unconscious, what we need to do is make the mind quiet, because then it pulls the subconscious. Where do the subconscious, how does it get filled up? From the unconscious. So if we address this rightly, we'll start picking up that dirt and disposing of it. Cleaning it up and throwing it. Like imagine there's some liquid on this table, and I put a piece of napkin there. It starts going from the bottom to the top, and then I throw it out. The waking state is what we can work with. The dream state you cannot get realized. In sleep you definitely cannot get realized. But in the waking state, we can. Which is why there's that nice quote. To achieve your dreams, you have to be awake. If we want to achieve anything, it has to happen in the waking state. And that's why when we start engaging in meditation proper, when we start engaging in this path proper, that dirt in our personality, those impurities will come up. I was sharing yesterday when we were chatting at the hotel. All of the tragedies that happen in the society outside, gossip, anger, fighting, jealousy, stealing, all of that happens in the ashram as well. What's in the macrocosm has to be in the microcosm. When I was studying in the ashram, I couldn't believe the facets of my personality that were coming out. You know, I went into the ashram thinking I'm a saint. But then when I got there, and as I engaged in our studies, I was like, whoa, I'm so grateful that I got to go here to prevent me from continuing with those. Or at least realizing that I have those weaknesses, so I can continue to work on them. When we meditate, thoughts that we would never expect to come up, attitudes we would never expect to come up, will come up. This is that unconscious aspect of our mind. When they come up, just watch them. Don't engage in that impurity. Don't engage in that negativity. Just watch that come up. So your mind has become quiet. You've addressed the conscious mind. You've made it quiet. Now the subconscious will find room to come up. And you'll be thinking, I'm so lustful towards this person. Or I'm so jealous of this person. When it comes, watch it come, watch it go. We empower our thoughts. Thoughts don't have power by themselves. When we focus on a thought, it grows. We have endless thoughts in a day. How come only a few of them are prominent? Because we're focusing on it. We amplify that. If we don't focus on it, it doesn't get amplified, it goes away. A big problem in meditation is sitting down. My knee hurts, my feet hurt, things are biting me, I smell this, I'm tired. As those thoughts come, just watch them come and watch them go. One day, the person who lived next to me in Sunday evening, he was from South Africa. And he liked to make fun of me of how much of a drama queen I was about mosquitoes. And when we were in the temple and we'd have arati in the evening, and I'd wear socks even though it was so hot, and he would let the mosquitoes bite his feet. And afterwards we'd chat about it, and he says, "They bite me, I watch the pain go away." And I thought, what a practical example of following how to better ourselves with meditation. Just watch. Man, my knee hurts. I want to move my knee. That thought will come. Don't focus on it. And that thought has to go away. You're not empowering it. But the problem is we empower it. And once we move in meditation, then we just open the floodgate to keep on moving. And here we are, trying to overcome our body consciousness to go within. But if we keep moving, it's not going to happen. Just watch. Watch these impurities come. Watch these impurities go. And they will go. They have to go. This is an extremely challenging attitude. Because we become so possessive. We love to possess people. We love to possess objects. We love to possess situations. We love to possess our thoughts. My thoughts. I should act on my thoughts. Why? Why should you have to possess it? Why should you have to act on this? You don't know where they came from. You have no idea where they're going. Why claim ownership for those thoughts? In the movie Wall Street, the new one that's come out, at one point, Shia LaBeouf, I think is his name, the main character is talking about American society, about how everyone has become psychotic in their need to possess. Possess buildings, possess bank accounts, possess companies, possess. And now if I were an Indian person, I would say the possessions possess us. Because they love alliteration and all of those kind of jokes. But it's true. We become possessed by all of our possessions. To help address this, to help clean up our mind from the unconscious to the subconscious to the conscious, sincerity, regularity, contact with the Guru, contact with the Scriptures. 4 aids that Gurudev talks about. Sincerity, regularity, contact with the Guru, contact with the Scriptures. Sincerity I've already explained. We talked about it a lot yesterday. Love what you do. Love meditation. Love the challenge. Love pursuing this path. Aren't we sincere with that which we love? So love this. Now regularity. I'll spend some time talking about this. The mind, the nature of the mind is to be fickle. And that's why it's extremely important to meditate at the same time every day. Not even meditate. It's important to practice and study spirituality, whatever practices you do, at the same time every day. Because eventually, the mind will say, suppose you start at 8 a.m. Once 8 a.m. comes, the mind will say, okay, now it's time for me to be quiet. And we're working with the mind. But if we have random times, 8 a.m. one day, 6:30 the next day, 4 p.m. the next day, that mind will be just as fickle. Think about when you see the clock and it's 12 o'clock. Aren't we programmed to get hungry at 12 o'clock p.m.? Lunchtime, waiting for the bell, waiting for the break. So that's why we eat. Why not make 8 a.m. introspection time? Spirituality time. And the mind will slowly fall into line in that regards. So regularity is very important. Now what role do the Guru and Scriptures play in this? The quality of our thoughts changes through satsang. The quality of our thoughts change through satsang. The quantity of our thoughts changes through seva the direction of our thoughts changes through sadhana. We're focusing on quality, quantity, direction. Satsang, seva, sadhana. So our guru, our satsang, changes the quality of our thoughts. How many people in this room have physically met Swami Chinmayananda by a show of hands? Wow, the percentages are becoming lesser and lesser. I've been told, because I've not physically met Swami Chinmayananda either, that when you sit in front of him, your mind becomes still. You don't want to say anything. You don't want to think anything. You just want to be. I've never met Ramana Maharshi, but I've been told the same, that people go in with frantic minds, and they just sit in front of him. And he doesn't say anything. Often he just doesn't even look. His eyes are just closed. And people's minds become so calm. I know when I sit in front of Swami Tejamananda, that same thing happens. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to think anything. I just want to be in that state of peace, that silence. So the quality of one's thoughts increases. And if it increases to such a degree, there are no more thoughts. The highest quality of thinking is not thinking. It's just being. The quantity of thoughts changes through seva. Because right now, our minds are frantic. We're thinking about this. But if we give a noble purpose, I want to help others. I want to serve others. I want to be with others. Those thoughts get focused into a particular channel. I'm an only son in our family. I have an older sister and a younger sister. And my family, my parents, they have a large and lucrative business. And so naturally they've geared their whole life around me taking over that business. And up until me going to the Vedanta course, that was the plan. I would slowly take over what they had. And after studying Vedanta, there's no way that I was going to go back to that agenda, go back to that plan. But I can't just say, okay, see you later, parents, just say, brush them off. They spent their last, quarter of their lives gearing themselves up for me to help them in this. So when I came back from the Vedanta course, then I continued to serve them with their business. Before I wanted the business, I wanted all of those rewards. Now it became a service to my parents, to help out two older people who have spent a quarter of their lives helping me, so I'm going to help them in this way until they can free themselves of this too. So now when I serve them, work is that much more joyful and free. Before I go, I get so mad when we didn't make money. They get mad at the employees. They get mad at me. Just that typical workplace. Now I go in with a smile. If money's made, great. If money's not made, great. It's not mine. I'm just going to do my best. And so that's what I'm saying. The quantity of our thoughts comes down with seva. I'm telling you this firsthand. And then the direction of our thoughts, that's where sadhana comes in. We need to direct our thoughts inside. Now, if you practice doing any of these, either focusing on the quality, or the quantity, or the direction, even by pursuing one, all of them fall into place. It's just like the spiritual qualities we talked about a couple of years ago. That if I get Viveka, I automatically get Vairagya, I get the Shatsampati, I get Mumuksha. Suppose I develop the Shatsampati, great discipline in my life. Am I not going to want to use that discipline to pursue happiness, detachment, discrimination? Pick one. All will fall into place. Which one do I suggest you pick? Satsang. Satsang is available to us in all ways. Everything will come with satsang. Associate yourself with this spiritual thinking, and all is well. Everything is perfect. Now, we'll take some time to think about a universal way to bring all three of these together, and that is japa. We'll spend some time now thinking about japa. I touched upon japa this past summer when we studied Upadeshara. One point we talked about japa, but it was only for a few minutes. Now we will get into the details of this. We'll study this more deeply. The premise behind japa is repetition of a mantra, or a saying, or an idea. It's a repetition out loud, it's a repetition quietly, it's a repetition inside. Why japa? 2 reasons. What you think about, you get attached to. The more we think about something, the more attached we get to it. That's why we have to be very cautious in relationships. Very cautious in a business. Because we're so enmeshed in that all the time that it's natural to become attached. We have to be that much more alert when we spend a lot of time with someone or something. That's one principle behind japa. The second is, as you think, so you become. So you are, so you do. One of our super chicks, Shivam Gosai, who's supposed to be here, but I'm not sure why he's not here, which means he's not a super chick anymore. I'm going to stop telling him he is. But that's one of his favorite, I often see on his Facebook that, as you think, so you become. As you think, so you become. And I love reading it. I love that he has an appreciation for this simple message. And it is simple. And it is true. The mind, as I've shared with yesterday, tends to be extroverted. The japa is a way of making that mind take a U-turn and go inside. And for those who have a flavor for devotion or bhakti, japa is calling out to the Lord. Calling out the Lord to come, to be with me, to guide me, to teach me. And there's so many stories in Srimad Bhagavatam where devotees did call out to the Lord, and the Lord came. I'm reading a book right now called The Slayer of Kamsa. And the author is Ashok Banker, or Ashok Banker, whatever way you want to pronounce it. And he started writing Ramayana in a very Lord of the Rings fashion. A lot of sorcery, a lot of magic, a lot of battles. And it's so interesting. I've never read Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, but I loved reading Ramayana. And he did it in 6 volumes. At one point he's talking about how Hanumanji is fighting against one of Ravana's sons. And he grabs Ravana's son by the arm, and he spins him 1,008 times and then throws him to the ground. And I thought, whoa, don't you just want to love Hanumanji when you read about that? And I have some background from Ramayana, but if you don't, right, you develop that love in that way. So now he's finished the Mahabharata, which is in 8 parts. And that's why I didn't go to the gym this morning, because I was reading that for an hour last night. Because you can't stop. And in that, at one point, Kamsa, and they show Kamsa to be so evil. I never realized how evil Kamsa is until I read this book. And he's yelling out to the sky because he's torturing the devotees in Vrindavan and all over. And he says, if Lord Vishnu is your savior, then I challenge him to come to earth and defeat me. And then the thunder comes and the lightning comes. Not in the Indian movie kind of way, in all of the noise. But in a very subtle way, like Lord Vishnu was responding that I am coming. And I thought that, wow, when you do call out to the Lord does come. And I was going to talk about this later, but since I've touched upon it. The Vedanta course, a lot of impurities come out. One person we were studying with, at night, he started imagining that a girl would walk into his room and sit on his chest while he was sleeping, and he couldn't breathe. He couldn't sleep for 2 weeks. That first week, he tried to stay in his room and deal with it. After that, he couldn't, so he slept in another person's room. That vision kept on coming. And he had to leave the course. because he couldn't deal with it. For myself, we're learning about Advaita Vedanta, oneness, non-duality. Then why am I learning about Lord Rama? Why am I saying Om Namah Shivaya? I didn't get it. And this was making me more and more frustrated. And then one night, and in a very agitated state, I was talking to the Lord and I said, if you don't come to me tonight, then I will forget about you. I will let you go. And I went to sleep. And for those who have been to Sandeepni, it's really interesting because on one side you have the Radisson and the Marriott, amazing hotels. And on the other side you have the worst slums. And it's such a disparity. And the people in the slums love to play loud music. They love to, which I didn't mind. It's good to listen to music once in a while. And one morning, that morning after I said that, I woke up to the sound of Om Namo Narayanaya repeatedly. Someone in the village was playing that. And I've never heard it the rest of my time. Not before, not after. But that night, when I said, if you don't come, I will let you go. And that was playing. And that to me, again is showing, whether you believe it or not, that's totally up to you. But I called, and he came. And now I don't. That challenge, that hurdle has been crossed now. That faith is unwavering now. How to practice japa? First of all, why are we talking about japa? Because it leads to meditation. It is a precursor. It is a stepping stone to meditation. And the preparation for japa is very similar to meditation. We are going to go through the steps that Swami Chinmayananda outlines for us. When we talk about the preparation for meditation, I will give you a more systematic way so that we can remember those steps easily. But right now we'll go through what Swami Chinmayananda says. Number 1, designate a room, wherever you're living, in your apartment, in your residence, wherever it is, for japa. That's number 1. Designate a room to engage in this sadhana. Number 2, when you're sitting down, put a picture of the Lord whereby your eyesight is in line with the Lord's feet. So if I'm sitting here, my picture would be here. The feet would be here, and then the body would go up. So in line with your eyes. That's number 2. Number 3 is, have a small rug on the floor upon which you sit. Don't be overwhelmed if I'm going too fast. All of this is in meditation and life. But I'm guiding us through this. Number 4 is have your japa mala ready. Now everyone has their japa malas handy. Those brown bracelets, if you don't know what a japa mala is, that you should be wearing. And I'm wearing mine, so I'll take that out. So you have your japa mala ready in front of the picture of the Lord. So again, room, picture, rug, mala. 4. Number 5 is sit with your legs crossed. Sit comfortably on the ground. And I just want to make a point here. If you can't sit on the ground, for whatever reason, that's okay. Sit on a chair like you're doing, but make sure your feet are flat on the floor. If you can't sit on the ground, which I feel most people in this room can, if you can't, sit on a chair with your feet flat on the floor. And that's okay. Physically, you're unable to. When I was studying, I had to ask Guruji permission for a week not to sit with my legs crossed because my knees were in such pain when I first got there. So I had to lean against the wall and keep my legs straight out. It's understandable. Number 6 is, look at the top of the Lord, so the top of his or her head, and slowly go down the body of your Lord. focusing on all the details, the arms, the necklace, the chest, the dhoti, the sari, all the way to the feet. So you're just visualizing from the top all the way down. And when you get to the feet, you start visualizing up again to the top of the head. Number 6, and you close your eyes and feel the presence of your Lord in your heart. If your eyes are closed, do that same visualization from the top to the bottom and back up again. For those who have heard stories about Swami Chinmayana, he used to do this at, I think, 4 years old, 5 years old. His family would pray together. And he didn't enjoy it, he didn't get it, but he wanted to enjoy it. So he would stare at a picture of Lord Shiva and memorize all the details, then he would close his eyes and try to bring out those details in his mind. Think now, look what it took him to, this simple practice. A lot of people are here new to Chinmay Mission. Don't worry about the label Chinmay Mission, but I really encourage you to get to know Swami Chinmayana. Get to know what he was, how he became who he was, what he did afterward. You cannot help but love such a personality. Don't worry about the labels, don't worry about CHYK, all of that is secondary. Just get to know the Master. You're reading who he is. Remember in 1893, when Swami Vivekananda was invited to speak at the Parliament of World Religions in Chicago? In 1993, Swami Chinmayana was invited. Obviously, he had some sort of caliber for him to represent Sanatana Dharma at this Parliament of World Religions. I'm not going to say unfortunately he passed away because he attained Masamadhi. What's unfortunate about that? But he left his body, and so Swami Dhyaranda went in his place, which is an equally amazing saint and opportunity for Swamiji. So we close our eyes and we visualize top. So your eyes are open, top, bottom, top. Close our eyes, do the same thing in one's mind. Then, start chanting your mantra in your mind. Just a few times. So you have love for Lord Shiva, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. And chant it with love. Like you listen to your favorite song. Chant that same intensity. Like tomorrow I'll be sending an Acharya about The Fixer. It's a song off of Pearl Jam's new album. And every time I hear it, like when people talk to me, I just don't hear them. Like I'll listen to The Fixer and she'll be talking to me and I just don't hear what she's saying. I'm not even there anymore. That's how that japa should be. It's such, immersion. And I'll talk about the mantras more, but I'm just going through the process now. Then pick up your mala. So if everyone can hold their mala in their hand, it doesn't matter what size of mala you come. Your mala should be of a multiple of 108. A multiple of 108. So that can be 27. 27 times 4 is 108. It can be 9. 12 times 9 is 108. Or it can be 108. This one is 108. It can be 54. I think you have 27. Yeah. 27 on your wrists. When you hold it, stick your ring finger out. Put your miru, or your setting bead, on your ring finger. Ideally with your right hand. If you're left-handed, then that's fine. But ideally with your right hand. Then, with your thumb and middle finger, you pull the beads towards you. So the movement, I'm moving it towards me. Everyone can see how my mala is going towards me, not away from me. It's coming towards me. If you need some more clarification, I'll show you afterwards, but I hope everyone can see that it's essentially going clockwise. Now, with every bead and make sure your index finger is out. This index finger is not to touch any of these three fingers. This is our ego. This is our blame finger. We don't want to give any focus to that. So now with each beat, I'm just going to use a simple, the shortest mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. In my mind, I say, Om Namah Shivaya. And now, after every time I chant it, I pull the beat towards me. Om Namah Shivaya, I've completed it, pull it. Om Namah Shivaya, I've completed it, pull it. In Swamiji's book, Swamiji's written that the hand that you're doing japa with should rest on that same knee. So in this case, my right hand is resting on my right knee. What I like to do is, I like to rest my mala on my left palm. So when I do japa, I do it like this. Because I want to show the preciousness and how sacred this mala is, so I don't want it to not be with me. So I keep it in my palm like this. You'll see other spiritual seekers who have like a little stick, and they rest their arm on it, and they do japa like that. So imagine there's a perch right here, and you do japa like that. That's more if you're doing, 100,000, japa a day, which I don't think anyone needs a perch yet. And everyone's thinking, I can't wait to get a perch. Tell my friends about it. So rest, we'll just use what Swamiji said, so you rest it on your knee, and you begin. If the mind is distracted, chant out loud, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. If the mind is relatively more quiet, you can whisper. Ideally, there should be no movement of the mouth. It should all be in the mind. When you complete your mala, okay, so now I got to the end here. We never cross over that mala. So I got to the last beat. I've gone through all of these. I got to the last beat. You'll watch my hand. I flip it around. And I go back to that same beat. So I concluded here, Om Namah Shivaya, on this beat. Now I'm going to flip my mala around, and I'm going to continue on that same beat. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. This is never crossed. We never cross this mala. So we do it one way, get to the end, go back. And we just keep going back and forth like that. All of this is on page 79 and 80. Again, you don't need to look into your book. You can just make note that on page 79 and 80, all of this is shown in a picture, and Swamiji wrote about it as well. Now, what mantras should we use? What mantra should I be using? Initially, you should use the mantra that makes the most sense or is most attractive to you. If you think Lord Shiva is really cool, is really powerful, and he just meditates all day, then chant Lord Shiva's name. If you love Lord Krishna, he's always playing around and he's so fun, then chant Lord Krishna's name. Whatever makes sense to you, whatever kind of personality you have. I started chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya because I love reading Amar Chitra Katha, and everyone chants that in Amar Chitra Katha. So I thought I should chant that too. But what was natural to me was chanting Om Namo Narayanaya. So I started off with this makes sense, this is logical, this is what I should do. But then that shifted into what was natural to me. And that's where we should set ourselves up. Chant that mantra, which is most natural to you. Because if it's forced, how can you love it then? What is most natural? When will that come? Let it come. Until then, just do what you feel makes sense. And ideally, that will become natural. But if it doesn't, one day will come when a mantra will be natural. I'm telling you my own experiences. The Amar Chitra Katha took me here, but then my nature took me somewhere else. And now that's unwavering, but that won't change. I found what's natural to me. And don't underestimate the potency or power of these mantras. It's calling out the Lord's name. And when a name is given, we can never disassociate the qualities of that name with that name. When I say watch, we think time. We think something spinning with different hands. When I say water bottle, we think thermos, we think sports. When we think, Leonardo DiCaprio, great movies. When we think Lord Rama, we think protector, discipline, the essence of joy. We cannot disassociate qualities from a name. That's why these mantras are so potent, so powerful. And these mantras, again, are on page 81. And there's two types of mantras. There's Vedic mantras and Puranic mantras. Vedic mantras are like Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. It's a message. Aham Brahmasmi is, I am infinite. Tattvamasi is, that thou art. Puranic mantras are Om Namah Shivaya, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Those are Puranic mantras. Whatever makes sense to you, do that. My suggestion is, pick a Puranic mantra. Develop a relationship with the Lord. Because developing a relationship with the self is not possible. You are the self. How can you develop a relationship with that? You are the Lord too. But the Lord is a manifestation of the self that enables us to have a relationship. But at the end of the day, do what is natural. How many mantras should you do? Minimum is 1 mala a day. So that means 108 chants of a mantra. Does that mean you have to do it in one sitting? No. Your malas are 27. Do it 4 times a day. 8 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock. How long does it take to do 27 chants? Let's say it takes 5 seconds each. 140 seconds. That's 2 minutes, 2.33 minutes. Can we dedicate that much time to doing this? I think so. After we've done 1 mala, is that it? Game over? Do as much as you can. Minimum 1, maximum is as much as you can. It's like going to the gym. If it's a Saturday and there's no classes, one goes to the gym for an hour and a half. You run a little bit more, you work out a little bit more. But if it's a work day, you only go for 45 minutes. Japa is the same way. Do based on the amount of time you have, but there should be a minimum. Maximum, you decide. Now some cautions and some guidance when doing japa. Caution, number 1, sleep. When we do japa, the tendency is to fall asleep. And we see people, right? Well, I see people when they're meditating. It's quite laughable. It's enjoyable too. Sleep is a big problem with not japa as well as meditation. And so the number 1 way to overcome that tragedy is be rested when you engage in these spiritual activities. I was that person who would try to meditate and just would be sleeping the whole time. And I'd get out for meditation, and I'd feel like, oh, I meditated for so long. I don't remember any of it. And then someone very smartly said, it's because you're tired. So then when I started doing it, then I slept an extra half hour before doing it, and that problem went away. Just sleep. Be rested, then engage in this. If we don't acknowledge that we're tired, we won't succeed in this. Like it's thinking we're tougher than we are. We have a mind that's engaged in anekagrita. Ekagrita means single-pointed. Anekagrita means infinitely pointed. Our mind is going everywhere. In japa, we're saying, hey mind, come down to one thought. The only time we come down to one thought is when we're about to go to sleep. Come home from school, lots of thoughts. Getting tired, go to the bedroom. Getting more tired, brush your teeth and change your clothes. More tired, read a book. More tired, put the book down. So you're at that last thought, I'm tired, and then that goes away. That's the only time we have this Acharya, right before we sleep. So when we start japa, the mind thinks, hey, I'm trying to go to sleep right now. Practice is necessary to make this happen. Just keep on practicing, and the mind will slowly be trained that, hey, I'm not going to sleep. It's 8 a.m., I just slept the whole time. I'm not going to sleep. I need to stay alert. This is how we practice this japa. Second caution, anger. Anger comes out when we practice japa. For 2 reasons. Number 1, there is no release of thoughts. Because in japa, we're forcing our minds to stay on Hanumanji, or that I am infinite. And usually the mind wants to go there, there, and there, and there. It wants release. We're not letting the mind be released in that. It gets angry, it gets frustrated. There's no release, and there's fatigue. We get tired physically and mentally of chanting that same mantra. It's like when we're tired. We all get cranky when we're tired. We all get cranky when we're hungry. Fatigue brings out anger. Japa is the same way. The way to overcome this anger, again, practice. I was telling Arvind yesterday an example about when we drive. When we first learned driving, everyone's arms are like this, blind spot, slow blind spot, slow back. But then as we practice more, then we put just one finger on the wheel. We become more relaxed. It becomes more easy. There's not as much demand from the body or the mind. So practice. So we practice driving, practice jumping. Now I'm going to take a few more minutes, and then we'll move on to our next activity. So that's caution is sleep, caution is anger. The solution to both is practice. The guidance to make japa effective is surrender. Surrender yourself to that experience. Surrender yourself to the infinite. In the Matrix, when Neo meets the Oracle, there's a sign that says, know thyself. To me, know thyself equates to thy will be done. I surrender. You guide me. This surrender is not being meek. It's not being weak. Conversely, it's embracing our true nature, being infinite. We think we're a drop of water, and we don't want to go to the ocean. I'll get lost in the ocean. No, you become the ocean. That's what surrender is. I let go of my limitations. I want to be free. That is that moksha, embracing it. We become what we think. This is the logic behind japa. Let us not do japa to become powerful. I'm going to be like Lord Vishnu with the discus on my hand and cut down people. Because there's a story in Srimad Bhagavatam where one person thought that he was the Lord, he was the real Krishna, and that Lord Krishna was fake. It's a hilarious story. And he had fake arms made. There's a full-out story about this. And he challenges Lord Krishna saying, you're claiming my intellectual property, you're stealing all of my, my wives and all of this. And he challenges him to a battle, and actually Lord Krishna wins over him. But my point is, we shouldn't think that too. I want to be beautiful like Lord Vishnu. I want Mother Lakshmi to massage my feet. It's not for profit. It's not for power. It's to reassert what is true. To re-become who we really are. And Gurudev writes that the real effect of japa comes after we do 100,000 chants of a name. So after we do 1,000 malas, essentially, that's when the real effect comes. That's when we really invoke the deity. And when we call out that deity, we'll see those blessings manifest. So 1,000. If you do 3 a day, after year 1, those benefits will start to come. There's 2 great chapters in here which I'm not going to talk about. It's chapter 17 and 18, which is on Om and the Gayatri Mantra. Please read all the chapters, but focus on chapter 17 and 18, because I'm not going to talk about that. 18 and 19, 17 and 18, I'm not going to talk about that. That's why I said we chose this book, because this retreat should not end. There will be a concluding ceremony, but that doesn't mean the retreat ends tomorrow. As we progress with changing the quality, quantity, and direction of our thoughts through satsang, seva, and sadhana, and we just talked about japa, we will reach a state of silence. That's called the amantra Om. Om has 3 mantras, A-U-M, and the 4th mantra, which is not really a mantra, is the silence. Om, silence. Om, silence. That's where the japa takes us to that silence. Another way to think of it is ajapa japa, where you're doing that japa, but the focus is on that silence. This is what our practice should culminate into that natural silence. Where is that natural silence? Silence is always there. We create things. We don't create silence. It's there. It's almost like we rediscovered it was always there. When you get to that silence, which you will, which all of us will, at that point, stop talking. See, when we're in that silence, we want to say, whoa, this silence is awesome. I can't wait to tell people about it. What's going on? That's not silence. Just stay there. Don't verbalize. I go to Whistler every year because I teach in Vancouver, and then I go skiing in Whistler. My friends are there. And one day, we had this idea that it was in the evening time. We had just finished dinner, and we were sitting in front of a fireplace, and we said, no one will speak unless they have something worthwhile to speak about. And so a group of us guys sat, there must have been 6 of us. And for 45 minutes, we all just sat in silence. No one was meditating, we were just looking at each other. Someone would open their mouth to say something, and they would realize, hey, it's not worthwhile. And just be silent. And I thought to myself, wow, we're idiots. For 45 minutes we couldn't come up with one worthy thing to say. We all just sat there. There's a rule of thumb in Sandipani too. Better to remain silent than sound like an idiot. So whenever Guruji or a Swami would come or an Acharya would come, because some people like to hear themselves, they're asking questions for answers they already know, or they just want to debate. The rule of thumb is better be silent than sound like an idiot. This is what's natural to us, so let's not be scared of it. Let us embrace this. The way to know the silence is through knowledge of the silence. If I need to go to Libertyville, and I get to Libertyville, but I know nothing of it, how will I know I'm in Libertyville? I need to know the characteristics of Libertyville, so that I know I'm there, and I can enjoy it. We have to know what realization is, so that when we get realized, we'll know we're there. And we can appreciate it. I love when Guruji used to say that. You have to know what the realization is. That way when you're there, you know you're there. So even with the silence, that's why we need to know silence. So that when we are silent, we won't keep on talking, which is the tendency. Am I there yet? Am I there yet? Am I there yet? But if we are there, we'll stop that verbalization. We'll know that we're there. And what to do? Be. Just be.
मुच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते